Okay, good morning, esteemed speaker, Professor Francis Nit, distinguished participants, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, on behalf of the RPOA-IUU Secretariat and participating countries, I would like to extend our sincere gratitude to the World Maritime University, Korea Maritime Institute, and the Ministry of Oceans and Fisheries of the Republic of Korea for inviting us to this capacity building initiative, Catfish Summer Academy for the Southeast Asia chapter. The RPOA-IUU welcomes further cooperation with partners, including with the World Maritime University, as part of our collective efforts to strengthen regional capacity in combating IUU fishing in the region. Uh, Thank you for your comprehensive presentation, Professor Nitz. You provide context for the global IUU fishing to the participants, while now it is my pleasure to discuss with you today on the roles of the RPOA IUU in strengthening regional cooperation against IUU fishing. My presentation will provide an overview of the RPOA IUU collaborative efforts in strengthening the responsible fisheries management, discuss the current IUU fishing situation in our region, and highlight our ongoing initiatives to strengthen monitoring, control, and surveillance, and some capacity building programs, as well as some case studies of a collaborative enforcement measures by the RPOA IUU participating countries. So my presentation consists of 5 parts. First, I will briefly introduce the RPOA IUU profiles, its objectives, participating countries, as well as its core elements of cooperation. Second, I will describe the current IUU fishing situation in this region based on the recent available study. Third, I will present the initiatives undertaken by the RPOA-IUU to strengthen regional MCS cooperation and capacity building. Next, I will also share with you 2 practical case studies demonstrating how regional cooperation has contributed to successful enforcement. Ultimately, I will conclude with our future priorities. So before we discuss about the RPOA IUU rules, I have unsophisticated animation just to provide you the context of the importance of interstate cooperation to combat IUU fishing. So when you see this picture, can you describe something? There are 4 countries and then high seas pocket. Yeah, and then suddenly, sorry, suddenly fishing vessel flagged to country Z, fish illegally in country D's EEZ. Then what happened next? Appear, sorry, like a ghost. Ah, the suspected vessel evade the law enforcement by the country D and flees to the high seas. So can you describe something about this picture? Any one of you? So it means that uh, if there is an RFMO mechanism there on the high seas pocket, then you may contact the RFMO secretariat to list this vessel into the IUU vessel list. And then another setting. So the suspect vessel goes to the port of country A. So they try to unload their catch there. So in this situation, uh, country D need to contact the authorities from country A. So the country A will conduct the thorough inspection under the Port State Measures Agreement, and then can avoid the unloading of catch and also enforce the law against that vessel. What happened next? So the fish may be trade to the country B, may be traded to the country B. So what I would like to give you context in this presentation is that we need to recognize that IUU fishing is often transnational in nature. So fishing vessels frequently operate across maritime boundaries, exploit jurisdictional gaps, and use complex ownership structures that make enforcement challenging for any single country. Illegally caught fishery products could also be traded and enter the global fish market. Therefore, I would like to emphasize that no single country can combat IUU fishing alone. Effective responses require cooperation among coastal states, flag states, port states, and market states, as I already illustrate in this slide. So only through timely information exchange, coordinated enforcement, and mutual trust, we can effectively deter illegal fishing and promote sustainable fishing practice. Just a brief overview of the RPOA IUU. So the regional plan of action to promote responsible fishing practices, including combating IUU fishing, well known as the RPOA IUU. At first, I realized that it's like a name of the document, plan of action, but actually be the name of the regional initiative or mechanism. So the RPOAIU is a voluntary instrument and takes its core principles from the international agreements and instruments for promoting responsible fishing practices. It was established on 2007 in Bali, Indonesia, through the declaration of 11 ministers responsible for fisheries from 11 countries, namely Australia, Brunei Darussalam, Cambodia, Indonesia, Malaysia, Papua New Guinea, the Philippines, Singapore, Thailand, Timor-Leste, and Vietnam. Unlike a legally binding treaty, the RPOAIU is a voluntary regional framework built upon internationally recognized fisheries instruments. Our primary objective is to strengthen fisheries management and promote responsible fishing practices while enhancing regional cooperation to combat IUU fishing. So to facilitate more practical cooperation in the narrower scope, the RPOAIU has established 3 MCS sub-regional groups based on the geographical focus areas. First is the Gulf of Thailand, chaired by Thailand, along with Cambodia, Malaysia, and Vietnam. Second group is the very long name here, Southern and Eastern South China Sea and Sulu Sulawesi Seas, chaired by Malaysia, along with Brunei Darussalam, the Philippines, and Indonesia as members. Then the last group is the Arafura and Timor Seas, chaired by Australia, along with Indonesia, PNG, and Timor-Leste. So these sub-regional groups enable neighboring countries to address shared fisheries challenges more effectively. And the RPOA-IUU has 11 core elements of its cooperation, which are adopted from the country's responsibilities under the international laws and recommended by the IPOA-IUU, including the implementation of international instruments, flag state and coastal state responsibilities, port state measures, regional market measures, regional capacity building, and strengthening MCS system, and etc., etc. Next, I'm going to touch on the IUU fishing level and situation in the RPOA IUU region. So this map highlights three major transboundary hotspots. First is the South China Sea, where overlapping maritime claims and distant water fishing fleets increase pressure on fisheries. Second is the Sulu Sulawesi Seas, which are vulnerable from cross-border illegal fishing due to porous maritime boundaries. And the last hotspot is the Arafura Sea, where transboundary fishing activities remain high. So the impact of IUU fishing in this region is considerable. IUU fishing significantly causes annual economic losses of around 165 million US dollars, with nearly 83,000 tons of fish lost each year. And Indonesia and the Philippines account for about 85% of these losses. At the same time, more than 2,500 fishing vessels have been apprehended by the RPOA-IUU participating countries within the 5-year period of study from 2015 to 2019. This demonstrates countries' continued commitment to strengthening MCS efforts across the region. So these figures show that IUU fishing is a shared regional challenges that cannot be addressed by one country alone. It requires strong regional cooperation, effective information sharing, and coordinated information enforcement efforts, which is exactly the role of the RPOA-IUU. Now I will describe the trend and issues relating to the IUU fishing in the region based on the RPOA-IUU countries report and MCS sub-regional reports. Although each sub-region faces unique challenges, many issues are interconnected. In the Gulf of Thailand, cross-border illegal fishing and the deliberate deactivation of VMS remain significant concerns. While in the South China Sea and Sulu Sulawesi Seas, member countries continue to address unauthorized fishing, use of illegal fishing gear, illegal fish aggregating devices placement, violation of license condition, destructive fishing practices, and unauthorized transshipment. Meanwhile, in the Arafura and Timor Seas, challenges are even more diverse. These include cross-border illegal fishing among members, illegal transshipment, illegal fishing by third-party flag fishing vessels, fishing protected fish species, destructive fishing practices, including other associated crimes such as human trafficking and illegal fuel bunkering. These issues clearly demonstrate that IUU fishing extends beyond fisheries management and is closely linked to broader transnational organized crime. One of the RPOA IUU's core priorities is strengthening MCS system across the region. The Secretariat facilitates communication among member countries whenever transboundary illegal fishing incidents occur. We also regularly update the RPOA IUU MCS key instrument list, which serves as a practical reference for fisheries inspectors and enforcement officers. Another important initiative is maintaining our vessel watch list. Our watch list integrating IUU vessel list adopted by the RFMO and suspected vessels of interest reported by participating countries, and it supports risk assessment, intelligence analysis, and coordinated enforcement actions throughout the region. And the RPOAIU has been developing the data sharing mechanism, recognizing that information exchange is essential to effective enforcement. So back in 2024, the RPOAIU participating countries agreed upon on the establishment of the data sharing mechanism working group, then followed by first working group meeting during the coordination committee meeting in the Makati, Philippines. So the working group discussed the types of fisheries data to be shared, harmonized reporting formats, and the development of a regional protocol that respects each country's legal framework while facilitating timely information exchange. So this initiative represents an important step toward building a trusted and structured regional information sharing system. Next, capacity building remains one of the strongest pillars of the RPOAIU. This year, we organized two major regional capacity building activities. First is the Fisheries MCS training course in Nha Trang, Vietnam, supported by the Australian government through the CIUU fishing program. This course aims to improve participants' technical knowledge in fisheries inspection, investigation, risk assessment, occupational safety, and gender and social inclusion in MCS operation. The second activity is the regional workshop on crimes in the fisheries sector held in Bali last April, supported by DFO Canada and in partnership with the IMCS network. This workshop aims to raise participating countries' awareness on the concept of IUU fishing and crimes associated with the fisheries sector. The workshop brought together experts from ANCORS, University of Wollongong, UNODC, Interpol, CIFDEC, and Australian Fisheries Management Authority to strengthen practical skills in fisheries intelligence and the development of the vessels of interest report for exchanging information among countries, cross-border investigation, and collaborative enforcement, including the multilateral hot pursuit mechanism. Previously, we also had series of fisheries intelligence training that we plan to continue in the near future, as well as a workshop on promoting flag state responsibility, including the FAO compliance agreement. These activities help establish professional networks among fisheries officers that continue long after the training ends. Next, we are also promoting the decent working condition. The RPOA-IUU recognize the close relationship between labor issues and IUU fishing. Providing decent working conditions for fishers is also to implement responsible fisheries principles guided by the FAO Code of Conduct for Responsible Fisheries. One of the general principles of the CCRF, particularly in paragraph 6.17, mandating countries to ensure safe, healthy, and fair working and living conditions. Fishing vessels engaged in illegal fishing are often associated with poor working conditions, forced labor, or even trafficking in persons. Therefore, together with the ILO, we are preparing a regional workshop focusing on decent working conditions in the fishing sector. We plan to organize this workshop in the upcoming September, and hopefully some of you here also join that workshop. And the objective is to increase awareness among participating countries and encourage a more integrated approach that combines fisheries management with labor protection. So the RPOA-IU has also been developing the publication. Knowledge sharing is another important component of regional cooperation. The Secretariat published a quarterly newsletter to keep member countries and partners informed about regional developments. We are also developing a knowledge management platform that serves as a central repository for reports, best practices, guidance documents, and other resources. Together with our website and social media platforms, these initiatives enhance transparency, communication, and institutional learning across the region. This program also intends to reach the general public to increase their awareness on the detrimental impacts of IUU fishing and the importance to eradicate IUU fishing to sustain our fisheries resources. Now, allow me to share a successful example of regional cooperation to enforce the law against a transnational IUU fishing case by fishing vessel Ranzeng 03 and 05. At that time, before I served as the Vice Executive Director of the Secretariat, I was the Indonesian focal point and I was part of the investigation team. And both vessels are physically identical fishing vessels, which are operating together. These are huge fishing vessels with 870 gross tons, flagged to Russia, built in China, and use a destructive troll. Why I mentioned this case is transnational. So both vessels are flagged to Russia, owned by Chinese enterprise, and the captain was Chinese national, while the crew were mixed from China and Indonesian nationals. And their operation was also supported by two Indonesian carrier vessels, MUS and MVY, supplying logistics and fuels for them. as well as illegally transported the more than 100 tons of catch from MV Runzeng. Both vessels committed multiple crimes, namely illegal fishing, illegal transshipment of 110 tons of catch, use of destructive fishing gears, including other associated crimes of trafficking in persons and illegal bunkering of fuels. So the law enforcement authority involved in the operations from Indonesia, Australia, and PNG. This is the example of the effective information sharing among three countries. So first, the Indonesian focal point circulate an alert to all participating countries. Oh, sorry. Alert. And then we also secretariat facilitate the communication among countries. Then the Australia Maritime Border Command circulate intelligence report to Indonesia, capturing the photos of both vessel of interest operating in Australian EEZ. One vessel, the Ranzeng 5, even fled to Papua New Guinea. Ranzeng 03 actually was apprehended by the Indonesian authority, Ministry of Marine Affairs and Fisheries, and the vessel was seized, and then the government planned to utilize the vessel as a patrol vessel. While the Ranzeng 5 fled to PNG, they tried to bunkering fuel in Daru Port in PNG, but then the NFA, National Fisheries Authority of PNG, informed us that this vessel on their port, and they investigate and prosecuted this vessel, and the vessel was seized by the NFA PNG. This case clearly demonstrates how timely information sharing and mutual trust can lead to successful cross-border enforcement. The other case studies are bilateral information exchange between Indonesia and PNG. In one case, Indonesia and PNG successfully coordinated the release of a PNG fisheries observer who was on board fishing vessel apprehended by Indonesian Ministry of Marine Affairs and Fisheries. Sorry. So the vessel was Philippine flag super cruiser, chartered by PNG Enterprise and authorized to fish in PNG EEZ. So the fishing vessel Princess Janice 168 allegedly not stowing its fishing gears properly during the navigation through the Indonesian EEZ. So maybe in the future, this may happen as well in another region where the fisheries observer could also be arrested while conducting their duty on board the fishing vessel. And then through good communication between Indonesia and PNG, we can fast track the repatriation of the PNG observers. Second case is the FV Eka Jaya, Indonesian fishing vessel, detained by PNG, and the Secretariat facilitate constructive dialogue that help resolve the case through negotiated administrative sanctions. These examples demonstrate that regional cooperation is not limited to enforcement operations, but also supports diplomatic communication, due process, and practical problem solving between participating countries. Looking ahead, the RPOA-IUU will continue strengthening regional cooperation in several key areas. First, we aim to strengthen regional fisheries intelligence networks and collaborative MCS capabilities. Second, we will continue developing a comprehensive regional data sharing protocol, and we will further promote responsible fisheries management, including decent working conditions within the fishing sector. Fourth, we will continue expanding our knowledge management platform and regional publication. And ultimately, we will strengthen partnership with international organizations and development partners to ensure the sustainable implementation of the RPOA IUU work plan. And this brings me to the end of my presentation. If you have some questions, I will try as best as I can to answer them during the following Q&A session. And thank you for your attention.